You gave quite a cautious guidance for the rest of the year. This is mainly because you're investing a lot to make sure that you're at the forefront of big technology. But talk to me about the concerns you have on political event, on Brexit and on trade. Does that also hurt your guidance going forward?
Well, at least there are consensus in the market and all the different measurements we are following there have rather improved during the last 6 months than deteriorated, independent of all the political turmoil we have seen. So we are prepared for a year where GDP growth is slightly above last year and therefore a reasonable environment as far as we can tell at that point of time.
What does it mean for margins next year? I mean, you have some of the best margins in the business. I know your profit margin on Mercedes cars currently exceeds 10%. What happens in the next 12 months?
Well, perhaps the best is to talk about facts. The January sales numbers are just out of the press, and we have seen an increase of about 18% retail for Mercedes car sales. We have seen in China an increase over a good January in 2016 of almost 40%. I think that bodes pretty well for at least the start of the year, and I think and I hope for the entire year.
Mr. Zetsche, good morning. I want to talk to you about the news flow of the President of the United States. He took a direct shot at your Germany. This is with your 41 years of service to Daimler. I'm absolutely fascinated from your industrial prism of your exploitation of the euro. I mean, the basic idea is the euro ought to be at 140 or 150. I'll let you pick the level. How do you respond to a president who feels that Mercedes gets a free lunch 8 days a week with a cheap euro?
Well, I think we have discussions about exchange rates in the last 30 years, back and forth, and with different roles around the globe. We definitely have no impact on exchange rates. And I would say altogether, let's see how that plays out. We're talking about 2 weeks in office for the new president. Typically, we have at least a 100-day rule to get more understanding about direction. And I at least prescribe ourselves this kind of patience.
Well, within the patience, inform our audience of the multinational basis of Daimler. When we say that Mercedes is Germany, we get that. What portion of Mercedes is outside the euro currency where you're not exploiting President Trump?
Well, first of all, we are selling about 50% of our production within the Eurozone, which obviously is neutral to exchange rates. Secondly, my understanding is that the German car makers together have about 7% market share in the US, whereas the American car makers together have about 16% market share in Germany or in Europe. So that might be in spite of or because of exchange rates, I don't know.
That's terrific perspective. Francine?
Yeah, Mr. Zetsche, I want to ask you about this partnership with Uber, right, for self-driving vehicles. How do you make money from that? Do they pay a licensing fee for your technology? Do you share the profits at the end of it?
This is certainly a plan for in a number of years, because neither these fully autonomous cars are in existence today, nor the platform is equipped for that by today. But we do believe that a strong platform on the one hand and a strong player in the autonomous field on the other hand could both have benefits out of a collaboration, in the sense that we might operate Mercedes cars on an Uber platform and, that is a thought, potentially pay a fee for using this platform.
I want to ask you a financial question, if I could, Mr. Zetsche. Coming out, Mercedes with a wonderful performance like the other auto stocks since 2009. If I go to the Bloomberg, bring it up here, Dieter Zetsche has a double-digit dividend growth for 5 years. Now, that's a little distorted by the recovery, but it's a massive 12% dividend growth per year. I'm going to assume, sir, you can't sustain that. What kind of use of cash can you distribute to shareholders? Is it high single digit like Apple and some of your competitors, or can you sustain a double-digit growth rate to your dividend?
Well, first of all, when we look at the return on our shares by dividend in the 5% range, that independent of further growth in itself is a pretty attractive offer in today's world to investors.
Right.
On top of that, we have a 40% return rule, or 40% of our profits we want to give to our shareholders. We provide the cash flow to be able, in spite of the heavy investments into our future in CapEx, in R&D, we are able to provide the cash flow to pay these dividends, and we are very confident that the same will be true in the years to come.